It's FCA, and today we're going to talk about wine again. Woo! I'm going to teach you how to identify taste and the terms for taste when finding a wine that you like. There are thousands and thousands of wines in the world. Don't judge all of them based on one of them. While all wines are generally similar, the same way all beer is generally similar, they all taste different and taste different to different people. So it might take you quite a few bottles before you find one that you're kind of like, I enjoy this. That's what wine is all about. It's all about enjoyment. And one way you can help yourself is by indulging in every scent you come across. So when you're standing in the middle of the freeway, take a nice inhale through the nostrils. Really get a hold of scents. Really get used to closing your eyes and identifying scents. This will help you with wine because this area is connected and you're unlikely to indulge or enjoy something that smells not pleasant to you. Alright, so when it comes to wines, there is no right or wrong when it comes to liking wines. If you like port wine, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with liking fortified wines, which are wines that are more alcoholic in content. There's nothing wrong with liking them more than Bordeaux, and there's nothing wrong with liking a Bordeaux more than a boxed wine. It doesn't matter what you like. It just matters that you find something you enjoy, because that is what wine is all about. Now, when it comes to identifying wine taste, what you're going to do is you're going to start, if you are afraid of preconceived notions about price, name, or color of wines, because some people have preconceived notions about whether white wines or red wines taste better in general. What you can do is you can do a blind tasting, which means you either blindfold yourself and drink the wine, or you get a non-see-through glass or container to hold your wine so that you can't tell any of that stuff. Because if somebody just pours a bunch of wines for you, you're not going to know the name and stuff like that. So that's one thing you can do. Or what you can do, which is a little more common, is just pour your wine. And I recommend a glass that is tapered. I don't have a tapered glass with me, or a water goblet like this will suffice. I prefer stemmed glasses. You can get non-stemmed ones, but if you do get non-stemmed ones, hold them up away from the wine. Do not, I repeat, do not hold your wine like this. People think it looks fancy or proper. It's not. It's a very poor way to drink wine. And true wine connoisseurs will likely lift their eyebrow and cringe at you for holding your glass like that, because that warms the wine. And when you warm up wine, and it's not supposed to be like this is a white wine, and most white wines you're supposed to chill before serving, and a lot of other drinks that contain, like this is a vermouth, such as a dry martini, the glass is supposed to be chilled as well before you make it, when you serve it. Don't warm up your wine. It does not help it. It changes the taste, and warmer wines can change the aroma, which can change your opinion of whether you like it or not. So don't do that. Hold it by the stem. The stem is there for a reason. Now, 5 ounces, so about up to here, is the standard serving of alcohol, and that's what you get at restaurants and bars, unless you're in a country or a city that specifically prohibits that. States control liquor laws, the cities don't. So if it comes down to it, the state laws will override, but they do let cities have some control over that sort of thing. So, you have your wine, you've poured it. Now what you want to do is you want to enjoy every aspect of your wine. You don't want to just gulp it. That's not how wine is enjoyed. First, you want to look at it. Look at the color. Look at the hue. The hue is the intensity, how intense the color is. This is not an intense color. Dry vermouth is not intense at all. As you can see my finger over here through it, and I can see the computer through it. It doesn't have a lot of brightness problems or clarity problems. Brightness is when you take a white cloth and you see those that shine. There it goes. You see that shine? That represents the brightness. When you look through at a white tablecloth or a white napkin, that shows how bright the wine is. This is a very bright wine. What all that equals up to is that this is not a very alcoholic wine, and it was more than likely made from Blanc de Blanc Vitrus, which means it was made from white grapes. It's a white wine made from white grapes. Another thing you want to look at is if you give it a swirl, you don't see any legs, which means there's no droplets of the liquid coming down the sides. That also means it's not very alcoholic, and it also means it's more water. It's more water-like than oil-like. This also should equal it should feel light in your mouth. This is a lighter wine in general, so it should feel lighter on your mouth. If it doesn't, that's personal perception. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just off from what people averagely say about light wines. Doesn't make it wrong, it makes it different. Next is you want to take in the aroma and the bouquet. The aroma is the specific scent around it, such as fruity, floral, spicy, or grape-like. In general, Muscat is the only wine that really has a grape, like you can distinctly smell grapes from it. Most of the other ones can just be generally fruity, but Muscat, you specifically smell grape. So don't, like I said in the last video, which I will link below, just put your whole nose in it and really smell it. This smells very, very floral, very woods-like. There is no, like I said, there's no dictionary correct way to say that. Whatever you feel it is, that's what it is to you, and that's perfectly fine. Now, after that, when you swirl it, it mixes oxygen with it to help bring up peak flavors. You can decant, which I will talk about in another video about wine that I'm going to do. But when you decant, you don't want to do that to really old wines or really new wines, because that doesn't help. Another thing you want to be aware of when you're tasting wines is don't get wines that are beyond 10 years old. So for right now, don't get a wine. It would be a very poor time to get most wines that are before the year 2002. Because it's 2012, and after 10 years, most of the flavors and peak flavor points have been surpassed already. Most wines don't last more than 10 years in the bottle and still retain the flavor that they were intended to have. So just keep that in mind. Most wines. So next, you're going to taste your wine. Use your entire palate, the back of your inside of your cheeks, the back of your lip, all of your tongue, the roof of your mouth, the back of your throat. And what you can do to help with that is take a quick inhale through your mouth just to help swirl it a little more while it's in there and really bring out other more subtle flavors. So just a small sip, not getting plastered. You're tasting for enjoyment. Swish it, make it touch every part of your mouth. Let it set on your mouth to really get flavors from it. For instance, this is a little bit Diactyl. Diactyl is a buttery flavor. Vanillin is a vanilla flavor, which comes from those kind of flavors don't come from the wine itself. That comes from the barrel that it was aged in. Also, when it comes to color, a darker color means that the grapes were smaller, more raisin-like, and were older grapes when they were used. Wines that are closer to mahogany, which is quite the opposite of this, it would look more like this kind of a color. That means that they were also more aged wines. This is a very young wine. Young. Let's see. I have notes that I'm making sure I go through. Did that. If it is sec, this is not very sec, even though it's extra dry, which is what sec means. Dry is sec. It is still kind of sweet. at least to me. After it goes down, it gets more dry in my mouth, but while it's in there, it's very, very moist. And not just because this is a liquid versus swallowing, it's just because the aftertaste has in it, it immediately washes out everything and dries my mouth. So while it's in, it's not as dry, but once it goes away, it's a lot more dry, which is why it's extra dry wine, or extra dry vermouth, my bad. Also, sweetness is detected on the tip of the tongue. Which this is a little bit sweet, even because vermouth is just generally like that, at least to me. Also, acidity, this is not a very acidic wine, so it doesn't have a very pungent smell, is on the sides of the mouth. And when you are doing a wine tasting where you're taking in a lot of different wines, have plain unsalted crackers to eat in between to clean the palate. Don't chew gum, don't drink coffee before or if you're going to, or after if you're going to continue to indulge in your wine. Those, the peppermint, cinnamon, coffee flavors and caffeine will override your taste buds and ruin the taste of wine for you. You want to have a clean, not freshly brushed teeth, not after you've recently eaten something very greasy or very mouth overpowering. Plain unsalted crackers in between to help clean the palate and dry up any of the extra wine before. And then if you find a wine you like, order it with the food that you would like. And if you wish to see what foods go with what wines, I will link below another video that I did about wines. And then have a nice drink. I recommend 2 glasses, mostly because after 2 glasses I get pretty buzzed and I don't think that it's safe for me to drink more than that. I'm pretty much a lightweight, as I mentioned earlier. So, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoy your next glass of wine. As long as you are in a country and you are of age. Yes, you're in a country, but I mean in a country where you are legal of age. You know, you could be in America, and if you're 18 but you go to Quebec, it's okay for you to drink wine. You see how that works? Yeah. That wasn't the alcohol talking. That was just Fallon talking the way she usually talks. Bye, everyone.